Welcome to Steps Forward with Ricky, a weekly walking podcast designed to help you take steps forward in your life and your day.
Hello. Happy Monday, whatever day this is for you. My voice is a little raspy because I am still sort of sick, I guess. I don't really know. If this is your first time listening, welcome to the podcast, and make sure that you're walking because this is a walking podcast. If you're a regular listener, I love you. I appreciate you. I'm glad that you're here week after week, and I love taking steps forward with you. I'm in the studio today, which is amazing. And what's even more incredible, and I just want to touch on this really quickly, is that in 2 weeks, in 2 weeks, this will be 1 year of podcasting. And what an incredible year. You know, when you document your life and you share about your life, it's incredible to see the journey, right? Like, I have been able to watch myself grow from literally in a year. Like every single week I come on here and I speak my truth and I share, and it's amazing to me, like when I listen to the first episode to where I'm at now, how much I've grown and how much we can grow in a year, how much we can grow in a month or 2 months or 3 months or 4 months. And people often underestimate how fast they can change and how much they can grow. And, you know, starting a podcast changed my life. And I know that for a lot of people, this podcast has changed your life, which is incredible. And I'm so grateful. And I just wanted to say that if you have an idea and there's something inside of you that's like, I think that would be a great idea. Like, if you think it, you should do it, because it could be the best idea of your life and it could change your life. And even if it's the worst idea, it doesn't really matter because it's better than not doing it. And I want to share a story today about ideas and business and just trusting yourself. So when I was on my road trip in Sedona, I was there for like a month, and it was coming towards the end of the road trip. And I remember thinking, like, you know, I've always been an entrepreneur. And so I was a life coach and had my company Break the Weight, where I used to, coach people to break the mental, emotional, physical weight. And I've done, marketing for people. And so I've always kind of worked for myself. And at that current time, this was like the end of December, I was doing marketing for some clients and I was making like some money, but I wasn't making like really decent money, and I wanted to stay on the road. And I was like, okay, how do I stay on the road? Like, how can I actually stay on the road and build a business and be successful and create an impact and do something that I enjoy? And I didn't want to go home back to Michigan. And, when you're in that desperate state, you're just like, I'll figure anything out. And every single day I would go on a hike and I would literally say to the universe, like, let's figure this out. Like, we got this. How am I going to stay? Because going home felt so out of alignment for me. It almost felt like it was impossible. And so I was going to make this work. Like, I was going to figure it out. I don't know if you've ever been in that position where you're just like, there is no option. Like, option B wasn't an option for me. Like, I was going to not go back to Michigan and I was going to figure this out. I had a lot of faith and trust that I would as well. And I remember being like, okay, for so long, I had so many different ideas that I did take action on. None of them really panned out. A lot of them didn't. And the podcast was one of those ideas for me that like felt very aligned. So I always was like, maybe I'll when the next idea comes, I'll know, right? Like, I started to have that trust in myself. And it started to get lower, the end of my trip. And I was like, fuck, like I don't know if I can wait for that idea. And so I hired this girl. She was like 23, got her from IG. And she's like a social media marketing business strategist. I don't know what she is, but that's what she labeled herself. And I was like, all right, whatever. Like, you look normal and cute and you're making good money and you're doing something that you enjoy. So like, maybe you could help me. Backstory, like I have always, and I don't do this anymore, but I was always like looking for somebody else to have the answer out of desperation. I was always desperate for the answer. And I think we are when we feel out of alignment or when we are desperate. Like, I wasn't out of alignment during that point, but I was desperate to not go back to my old life. Little did I know that I should have had more trust and faith that like my old life was over. This was my new life, right? And I'm a big believer in mentors and leadership, and I invest in myself all the time, but you got to invest from a space of empowerment, not a space of desperation, because then you're looking for someone to save you. And so I was looking for this 23-year-old girl, and I was like, hey, like, I have some ideas and I really want to like start making money. Here's what I used to do. Here's what I'm sort of doing now. Here's what I think I could do. And she was like, oh, well, your podcast is incredible. And I was like, thank you. She was like, you should definitely like lean 100% into that. I was like, yeah, I am 100% into my podcast, but like my podcast isn't like going to bring me money right now. And like, I love my podcast more than anything in the world. And the last thing I want to do is like make that something that I have to do. So like, I agree, it's great, but like, let's just keep it what it is. And she was like, okay, well, what other ideas do you have? And I was like, well, because I just posted the video, my walking away from weed story on TikTok, like 3 days before I met with her, and I had 200 followers. And she was like, well, what is your idea? I was like, well, I just like have this interesting feeling about this concept I came up with, like walking away from weed. I was like, I had a weed addiction and I took it to TikTok and I just made this video. It has like a little bit of views, not that many. But what do you think about that? Like, I feel like I should lean into that. I feel like I could help a lot of people and I just have a feeling. And she was like, oh, that's not a good idea. I was like, yo, bitch, what? Like, first of all, I was just like, she was like, yeah, I think you should focus on your podcast. And I was like, again, like, we're not focusing on the podcast, like, relax. And she was just like, I just don't know if there's like a market for that. And it happened so fast. Like the stories in my head happened so fast. Like, ooh, maybe she's right. Like, is there a market for this? Like, could I actually help people? Is this even an issue? Like all the things that came up, all the stories we tell ourselves when somebody else takes away our power or makes us feel less than. She didn't do it on purpose, but she doesn't, the fuck does she know? And I remember being like, I appreciate your feedback. I don't actually agree with you. And she was like, well, you got to do what's right. And I was like, well, obviously, but I don't really agree with you. Like, how are you so quick to say that's not a good idea just because it doesn't have views right now? She was like, I don't know. It's just like an interesting topic. And I was like, right, interesting topic. Like, wouldn't that make it a good idea? And she was like, I don't know. I just think you should really focus on your podcast. I was like, all right. Like, I literally just wanted my money back. So I left that meeting and I was thinking to myself, like, no, she's not right. Like she read this so wrong. And I think for the first time, because I was clear-headed, I wasn't smoking, I was like feeling good about myself, even though I was like in this desperate wanting to stay in the road. It wasn't because like I was in a bad place. It was because I was in such a good place that I wanted to continue my journey. And I remember just being like, Ricky, no, like check in. And I closed my eyes and it was the same feeling that I had about the podcast. Like, this is a yes. It was the same feeling I had when I was like, my relationship, this is not working for me. It was the same feeling I had when I was like, you should go on the road, Ricky. Like, it was a feeling I couldn't ignore. And I was like, she's not right. I'm wrong. I'm going into it. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I posted this video and I'm going to give it a couple days and just like have a little faith and figure it out. 3 days later, the video went viral. And I really believe like it was just one of those things where I was just like, this is important. And for the first time, I was like, you know what? I don't even fucking care about the money. I was like, I don't even know what this is right now. But like that video went viral and there was thousands and thousands of comments of people being like, I need to walk away from weed. No one's ever talked about this before. All the reasons she told me not to do it were all the reasons that I should do it. No one talks about this. Holy shit, can you help me? Like, I'm suffering. Like, you're the only person I've heard speak on this and on TikTok. Like, how did you stop? How did you do this? How did you do that? And I was like, there. Success leaves clues. The universe is guiding you. And it was really the first time where I had gotten like real traction on something. And I'm talking about where it was like innovative enough where it wasn't really out there yet. And it was unique and it was real. Like I had been through the transformation. Like I walked away from weed. There were a lot of things in my life that I had done before that I didn't do fully, right? Like I was a life coach, a motivational speaker, but I was still smoking. I still felt certain things about myself. I was leading myself 50%. And so when you lead yourself 50% and then you try to sell something or you try to speak on something, you sort of feel like you're like a fraud. You're not really a fraud, but you know that you can only speak so much on this thing. This was the first time in my life where I was like, I fucking walked away from weed and I literally changed my life. And I have never felt so confident on speaking on something. And so I was the embodiment of my work. That's what it was. And that was the first time that I understood what being embodied is. Like I was an embodiment, whatever. You get it. Like for the first time ever, I just was like, I did this. I walked away from weed. I can speak on this. And I don't have to worry about the money. The only thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to focus on creating things that I love and that I enjoy and helping people. And that was it. That's all I did. And that shift in mindset was so powerful for me because I really trusted myself. And I think like we question ourselves, or we don't, because it's not happening right away, or we focus on the money, or we focus on the wrong thing, and then it brings the wrong energy. And I was like, I just want to create things that I enjoy and help people. And I had purpose. And I was like, I told my dad, I remember I said, Dad, like, I'm going to stay in the road. He's like, okay, how are you going to do that? I was like, give me a month. Like, just give me a month. I was like, I started this thing. I have a really good feeling about it. You got to trust me. I've never had more fun in my life doing something. Like, just you got to trust me. And he could see the numbers too. Like I was just gaining so much momentum and following. And he was just like, yeah, you honestly might be onto something. My dad's like not really one to say that. He's usually like, what the fuck, Ricky? And I kept at it. 6 videos a day, pumping out the content, helping people, coming from a space of just like, I want to help you. I'm here. I get it. 5 weeks later, someone said, do you do this for work? I said, do I do what? They're like, do you help people walk away from weed? I'm like, yeah. I said it so fast. I was like, yeah, for sure. I was like, I have a program. Did not have a program. But I fucking knew. Because everything that I had taught myself up until that point, from just even my life coaching, my speaking, my relationship ending, my walking away from weed, like I did have a program. I just didn't have it in writing. I did. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I have a program. It's called Walking Away from Weed. It's a 3-day program. And I put it out there and I created and I built that program as I went. Every time I spoke about it, every time that I had a group, the first group I had 6 people. And I remember after the first group, I was like, okay, like these are the things that I've been talking about. Second group, third group, fourth group, fifth, seventh. It's going to be the 7th round. 7th round. There's almost 200 people have gone through this program. That is so wild to me. And guess what? The program did not really become like outlined until maybe the 5th group. But it didn't really matter because the topics were all so powerful. They are so powerful that I trusted myself to keep learning and growing and evolve this program as I evolve. And I have. And this program is so transformative. And, you know, it's so much more than weed. It's not a weed journey. It's not really even a weed program. It's just so much deeper. It's so much bigger. And it's so crazy. Someone texted me the other day. They were like, I'm 116 days clean. I got a job promotion. I left my relationship. My skin is clear. I'm 80 days clean. 65, 30, 2 weeks for the first time in my life. And then here's the other kicker. Even if you fall off track, like somebody was like, I was 50 days clean. I fell off track for 5 days, but guess what? I used the system. I got right back on. I'm like, yes, that's a win. Does it need to be perfect? No. But if you have the tools and you have the education and you understand how to move through this stuff, the journey is it's just part of the journey. All the things that you fall on the ground, you can get back up quicker. And I just am so thankful to have listened to myself. I'm thankful that, you know, I came from a space of like, I want to help people. And now here we are. And I really believe we're just at the beginning. And for me, like, it's not really even about the weed. It's so much more. And I think, like, you know, I don't really identify with like a coach. I don't really identify with these labels. I just sort of am like, this is who I am. And these are the experiences I have. And like, how can I help people? You know, and I just want you to know that, like, if you feel stuck right now or you feel desperate, I want you to know that, like, that feeling is actually really good because it means you want more. It would be a lot worse if you just felt nothing. It's good to have that desperation sometimes because it lights a fire under you. And it's like, how the fuck am I going to figure this out? Like when I moved to LA, I wanted this apartment. I was like, I'm getting this fucking apartment. I'm getting this apartment. I'm calling the landlord 6,000 times a day. Like, I'm getting this apartment. I was desperate for, almost was like desperate for it. But was I? Because I think I was just like destined for it. And I knew that. So you gotta chase after things. And you gotta bring all of you. And yeah, like mentors are great, people are great, programs are awesome, but like no one's saving you. Like even when you do my program, I'm gonna transform your life, but I'm not gonna save you because you're not broken. And like I'm not your babysitter. And I'm just someone to help you and give you the resources. I tell people all the time, just get in the room. Because once you're in the room and you walk through the door, you'll have all the tools when you walk out. But no one is saving you. And you are your greatest asset and your best investment. So just remember, like, you have an idea, lean into it. Might be good, might not be bad. If someone tells you it's bad and that's the reason you don't do it, like, you don't want to do that. All right. We start the program August 1st, and I would love for you to be in it. Walking Away from Weed, 4-day program. It's going to be incredible. Leave a review of my podcast under Apple, a written review. It helps the podcast grow. And I got to go. Goodbye.